everyone, and welcome to the Local Rundown. My name is Malika, and I'm the co-founder of Locals Insight. We're bringing you this series of interviewing locals from all around the world to get you the best insights when you travel. Today, we're going to sit down with Pahel, a Singaporean local. Let's hear what she has to say. Would you truly consider yourself a Singaporean local? Like, how long did you live there?
Yeah, I definitely would. I lived there for 14 years, but definitely would consider myself a Singaporean at heart. It's definitely my home.
So you call Singapore a country and a city. So what?
It's a country, a city, a state, an island. It's actually known as a city-state. So when you write Singapore in an address book, you have to write Singapore, Singapore, because the city is Singapore and the country is also Singapore. So
That's trippy.
yeah, and the state is also Singapore. So yeah, it's all of the above.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I bet you there aren't very many of those out there.
No.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So people, culture, what's that all like?
So it's very diverse as a country as a whole. You'll see Indians, you'll see Malaysians, you'll see Singaporeans, you'll see Chinese people, you'll see whites, you'll see everyone. And it's honestly great because you are exposed to so many different people of different backgrounds, different perspectives. You learn so many things. You see how the locals live, but you can also see how international people live. Everyone loves Singapore because it's so easy to get around. It's so clean. It's so safe. And it's just an all-around easy access country. Yeah, we have a lot of laws there, but the people come from everywhere, really.
Are they nice? Are they nice to tourists especially?
There's hesitation. So the locals, if you get into a cab or you're in a hawker center, they have a way of speaking where you could kind of think of them as yelling at you, but it's just the way they speak. That's just how the Chinese people or Singaporean people are. They're like, oh, what la? What do you want la? And la is a very common Singlish word, I guess. They call it Singlish there, where they just add la to the end of almost every sentence. So it's really interesting to see when you're trying to buy something from a hawker center. They're like, what do you want, la? And really fast speaking. And so people do think oh, maybe the Singaporean people aren't as friendly.
Yeah.
But they are. It's just, they're very hospitable people. It's just the way they have been brought up and the way they are.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do most of them speak English? Is it English a predominant language around?
So we have 4 national languages, actually, in Singapore. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so English is predominantly spoken there. Again, Singlish is there. And then we have Chinese or Mandarin. And then we have Malay and we have Tamil, which is another Indian language, because there are a lot of South Indians who migrated to Singapore. So there are a lot of construction workers who are South Indian, and so Tamil is a huge language spoken there as well.
I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's really cool because it borders Malaysia, so Malay makes sense.
Yeah.
And everything, but that's really interesting. Wow. That's really cool. I want to go.
You should go. I should come. Let's go.
So if anyone wants to go to Singapore, hit Pahel up.
Please.
I love that. So say I'm going on a trip to Singapore and I really want to experience what it's like there. What is one thing that I have to do or try to feel like I'm a Singaporean?
So actually our national dish is chicken rice. So everyone loves to go to the hawker center, which is this local food court, and get chicken rice. They have a variety of meats. They even have vegetarian options. I really like their mee goreng and laksa specifically. So food, always got to try. There's abundance of varieties there. So Singapore is very good for food. And then also seeing just the Gardens by the Bay. It's huge. It's the most talked about attraction of Singapore.
Oh.
And they have these mega super trees, is what they call it. And they're artificial trees that they light up at night, and you can tour them, and it's just a lot of fun going there.
They're not real trees?
No, they're artificial trees.
What is that? Okay, I have to go to know what that means now.
They are these gigantic metal, like, tree-like structures that light up at night, and they put on shows for people every, I think, weekend.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
What else would you say, like, things to do there that's actually a Singaporean would do for fun?
So I really liked the nightlife there. It is a city, so it's always, Clarke Quay is the best place to find bars, clubs, even food, honestly. You go there for dinner. It's very lively, it's very open, and it's just one of my favorite things to do in Singapore. So cafe hopping is a huge thing in Singapore. So I actually met Chantel at this one cafe. It's called Toast Box, and their kaya toast is impeccable. Ooh. I really recommend. It's like the sweet coconutty toast, and if you like coconut, it's a must try for sure. But yeah, like just a bunch of nightlife activities during the day. You can go for brunch. Aww. Food is a huge aspect of Singapore, so definitely restaurants and cafes for sure.
Cool. So if you're a foodie, go. If you're a foodie, go.
Yes, 100%.
That's super cool. So when you go back, like when you go home, would you, like, what is something that reminds you of home?
I would say the local, like, Chinese Singaporean food. Oh. It's something you don't really hear of outside of Singapore. Like laksa is a very Singaporean dish, or even the chicken rice as a whole. Like it's very like native to the country, and I think just the food in general, like it's my comfort food now, as it is, because now I go to Din Tai Fung here because I miss it so much from home. So I definitely think of that when I think of home.
So it's a city-state, it's interesting, it's small, but does it still have like boroughs or neighborhoods, and what are those like if they are existent?
Yeah, so actually, well, for me, I see the country as a whole, and then I see it in north, south, east, and west. So I lived on the East Coast, which is right by this. We have man-made beaches in Singapore, so it's artificial sand too. But yeah, imported sand. So
is anything real?
It's like a little dystopia, that's for sure.
Wow.
But yeah, so I lived on the East Coast, so East Coast Park was very nearby to me, which is a beach. And then my school was actually in the north, so I went to the American school there, and it was in a place called Woodlands. So it was very international, very American there. You would see a lot of the American schools kids there because they liked walking to school, and they had a lot of landed houses, landed properties over there. So most people that come from America, they like living in the landed properties rather than the apartments because that's just something they're used to.
Yeah.
So you would see a lot of those near my school in the north. And then in the south, there's Sentosa, so that's like another man-made island off of Singapore, and you cross a bridge to get there. Oh. And there's Universal Studios there. There are a bunch of beaches. There's this wave park where you can like surf like an artificial like wave.
I'm seeing a theme here.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely like a little dystopia, but Sentosa is where you would find a lot of the richer people. The houses there are well over $10 million. The apartments are well over $5 million. So definitely the richer area. And it's a little hard to get to because you have to cross the bridge every time. Gotcha. So sometimes, taking the public train, like the MRT is what we call it, that can be kind of difficult from there. So you would have to take a tram out of Sentosa into Singapore and then take the local train or bus to wherever you're going within the country. Now, the West Coast is very green. It's seen as like there are a lot of forests, like rainforests, whatever. So, in fact, people think that Singapore is a city, and it's just a bunch of buildings, kind of like New York, right? But it's actually not. There's a lot of greenery on the West Coast, and so I had a few friends that lived there in places called like Bukit Timah, Bukit Panjang, and those are very local areas and local neighborhoods. We have HDBs, which are the public housing, scattered around the country. So locals get to live there for either subsidized or free rent.
Cool.
So they really cater to their locals, but I lived there as an international. So I lived in the East Coast, right by Marina Bay Sands. My apartment's view was actually Marina Bay Sands and
So she had the
bay.
true Singapore experience.
So yeah, I would run along Gardens by the Bay, and like that was my weekly exercise, which was really nice. But yeah, you see a lot more Indians in my area, just because I think we all kind of stick together.
Oh, that's amazing though. So do most people drive there? Is there a public transportation system? What's that like?
Growing up, I always used the public transport. It's very safe. It's very clean. You can't chew gum there, so like obviously like littering is also it's banned. So the laws there keep it and regulate it to make it clean. But yeah, so there's the MRT, which is the public train. There are buses that you can take to get from place A to place B, and there are cabs, taxis. Taxis are relatively more expensive, so people usually go for the MRT route or the bus route, and you get this EasyLink card, which is kind of like a Clipper card here, where you tap in, tap out, and you keep updating, like you keep putting money in it. So it's kind of like a debit card in a way, but for public transport.
Like the London Oyster card too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, really cool. That's really easy to use then.
Very easy to use, very efficient, honestly, and it's safe. I've used it at 2 a.m. getting home from a bar by myself, and nothing has happened.
Okay, so I've heard that story. I knew someone who told me at 13 years old she took a cab home in the middle of the night and she didn't even blink twice. Mm-hmm. So is safety actually a big thing there?
Safety is. You are safe no matter what. I think because it's such a small country, it's easy to regulate.
Okay.
There isn't a lot of crime there. I think in my 14 years of living there, I saw a cop or a police car twice. And that too, like, it wasn't for any like major crime. It was just because someone was speeding or something like that.
What?
Yeah.
That is so cool. Mm-hmm. That is so cool. I mean, then again, don't break any laws there. But yeah, that's still so cool. Don't. I would be terrified. Oh God. Can't imagine the like repercussions of you breaking a law there. Must be so bad.
Very. I've heard you can get caned, you can get fined. Sometimes if it's hard drugs, death penalty. There are a lot of a lot of strict laws in Singapore, that's for sure.
Okay, kind of a go by the book place. I'll put that in my books.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Wow, cool. What are some of your favorite restaurants when you go?
So, if you're looking for Italian food, Bruno's is by far my favorite place. They have this amazing ravioli with burrata stuffed in it.
Huh?
Yeah, and pink sauce, and it's really good. It has like basil, spice, like everything nice kind of thing. I actually worked there as a waitress.
No way!
Between senior year of high school and getting into college. So that summer in between, I waitressed there. I made a few bucks, which was nice, but definitely my favorite Italian place. Din Tai Fung, by far, is my favorite local food Asian place, dumpling place, Taiwanese place, actually. There.
Okay.
I know you have a Din Tai Fung here, and you have a few locations around the U.S., but it's different. It's different when you've entered Singapore, and it's more like the local food there. And hawker centers, by far, best laksa, best mee goreng, best tahu goreng is like this tofu dish that I really like. Yeah. So yes, I'm offering a lot of vegetarian options, as you can tell, but those are definitely my favorite go-to places. Hawker Centers by far everyone goes to. It's just a huge culture there, and it's cheap food too. So you get like the worth of your buck there.
Nice. Sure. Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So would you say you can find the most authentic foods at the Hawker Centers?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, bucket list item.
Yeah. I think one of them actually has a Michelin star. I think it's Newton Food Court, if I'm not wrong.
A food court has a Michelin? No,
Michelin
you're joking.
star. No, I'm not kidding. Yeah, isn't that insane?
Only Singapore.
Only Singapore.
I swear.
Yeah.
Wow.
The quality of food is it's just unmatched.
That's insane.
Yeah.
As a foodie, this is my dream.
Yep.
Oh, gosh. So then what are the top, 3 things to do in Singapore?
Food. Always food for me. I'm a huge foodie, so explore, the island and all it has to offer, but the food, just, you'll be in for a treat. And then second, nightlife, bars, clubs, everything nice. Like Marina Bay Sands has a rooftop bar, impeccable views. Highly recommend. The views there, it's a city. It's like a concrete jungle, they say. So, yes, the views are going to be of buildings, but it looks really pretty at night. So, that, and then I think Gardens by the Bay. Gardens by the Bay it's just like this open garden area where you can just walk. It feels really nice. You get a little bit of fresh air, and you get to see the super trees, which are really just iconic to Singapore, because I don't think any other country has something like that.
I love that. That's so cool. Yeah. Is there anything else that we should know about being Singaporean, about becoming a Singaporean, or about I want to live like a local for a weekend in Singapore or a week?
I think for sure Crazy Rich Asians portrays this very luxurious country as a whole, right? But there are pockets where you will see that the local people aren't actually as well off as they are portrayed in the movie, right? Mm-hmm. So I think just knowing that before you go and not expecting this grand, yes, Singapore is beautiful and it has all these amazing structures, these buildings, these rooftop views, but the local people there, they live in public housing and they go to public schools, and they're not as well off as Crazy Rich Asians may seem. So definitely open your eyes to that. I think their culture and their values are very beautiful as a whole, and don't get scared if they yell at you. That's just how they are, and that's just how they were raised. So it's a great country.
Oh, I love that. It's been so much fun. I feel like I've learned so much. I want to go to Singapore now, and thank you for teaching me the ways.
I've had a great time. Thank you for having me.
We hope you enjoyed learning all about Singapore. Pahel has posted all of her recommendations in our app called Locals Insight. It's available on iOS now. If you want more information, we actually have a bunch of blogs and a podcast all on our website called localsinsight.com. For more up-to-date and fun information, we have an Instagram and a TikTok @LocalsInsightApp. We're so excited to give you more content, so let us know what city you want to know about next.